What's up guys, MikeCoco back here, bringing you guys a new video on the new Knight system update that was released yesterday. And basically this system allows you to upgrade the passive stats for your heroes. So essentially, when you go into your hero tab, you'll notice that there are these little 4 slots here, and it's directly above the equipment, which is actually quite nice because the Knight system can be thought of as equipping other heroes as equipment to your current hero. So right now I have Pram, Dimitra, and Lucida equipped as quote-unquote heroes into Claire. And what this does is it provides Claire with additional stat boosts. So I'm going to go into this part right here. You're going to have 4 slots and you can put in heroes in any of these 4 slots. Now, before I go on, I do want to clarify 2 things. There are 2 questions that were asked most often, and one of them was, if I add a knight, can I remove them after, and will I still retain that hero? Yes, you will. So right now I have Pram as a knight. I can dismiss her and she will appear back in my waiting list, I guess. And when you add her back into the knight system, she completely disappears from the lodge, waiting area, transcending, fusing, selling. It's basically as if you never had the hero. So that's how the knight function works. And the second question was, does the order of the heroes matter? Does, like, if I put Pram here in the HP slot versus the physical defense slot, doesn't matter? A little bit, but you do not have to follow the exact order that the game tells you, because the game tells you that this is the order. You put in Poki in HP, Com in the second one, Haruki in the third, and Sir Chromo in the last. You don't have to follow this order exactly. As long as you have these heroes, you can place them in any order you want, and you'll still get the effect. Now, the knight system is more complex than that. You can actually add in any hero. It doesn't have to be specifically the hero in this list. This list is just the list of relationship heroes. And again, this might start to sound a bit confusing, but every hero, or every chief knight, I guess, has 4 heroes that you can add as a relationship hero. And the relationship hero gives you additional effects beyond just adding a knight. So for example, if I added Dimitra to the physical defense slot, I would get 7.5% increase in defense. But because Lucida is one of Claire's relationship heroes, not only will I get 7.5% boost in whatever slot I put her in, I also get this relationship effect, which is increase HP by 5%, and you can see that this is in use. Now, Claire does have more relationship effects, and you need Yuria and Dark Prophet Sivio and Lucas to complete all 3 effects. So essentially what you would want is Yuria in one of these slots, Dark Prophet Civil in one of these slots, Lucas in one of these slots, and Lucida in one of these slots. That way you get the maximum relationship effect while also retaining the highest HP, critical damage, physical defense, and attack boost. And the rank of the hero which you put into these slots does matter. So if you have an EX hero, you're going to get 15% boost. If you put in a 6-star hero, you're going to get a 3% boost. So obviously you want everyone here to be EX, and the final goal is to have everybody here match the, I guess, relationship heroes in this section. Let's see if I can find Claire. So essentially you want these 4 heroes all at EX for Claire. And so if I switch to someone like Pram, I would want these 4 heroes at EX. And you can see that there's like these little red tags and blue tags. The red tags means that you need at least, or you need all of the red tagged heroes for a specific relationship effect. And let's say I wanted the blue effect, then I would have to have Dimitra, Asus, and Ella. So that's basically how it works. Now, when you add them as a hero, you can actually like just choose whichever slot you want to put them in. You notice that the stat boost is always constant, so regardless of which slot you put it in, the stat boost is dependent on the rank of your character. So I can put Prime into HP, or I can take Dimitra out and I can put her into attack slot. It doesn't really matter in this case. You'll see that the relationship effect, or the relationship hero rather, is highlighted in blue, meaning that they are actually part of the relationship relationship set of relationship families. The way they worded it is actually not that great because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But regardless, you see that the 7.5% boost is always constant. It doesn't change. So when I said that the order doesn't matter, it doesn't really matter. It just depends on which one you would prefer, because you could have, let's say, an EX hero in one of these slots, and you would get to choose, do I want more HP or do I want more attack, so on and so forth. Now, I would recommend going with attack and critical damage. It's kind of obvious. But for heroes that don't rely on that much attack and are more of like a healer or support purpose, I would definitely go with HP or physical defense. Simply because there's no point in increasing their attack or critical damage that much. So that's basically it. Now, with these four, or I guess with the introduction of the Knight system, rather, you can actually boost your hero to insanely high powers. Imagine 15% boost in every single slot. That's gonna raise your power by a lot, because power is calculated on these four stats. And not only do you have that, you also have the boost from the relationship effect. So I've been told that there are like 4 mil Gabes running around, which is kind of daunting. But eventually we'll get there. Now, this does allow us to free up some space, because like I said, the heroes are completely removed from your list, and this is why there is a hero transcendence tab, is because you can't actually access this hero and transcend them from the regular tab. Like if you go into transcending, I'm just gonna pick a random hero, you don't see anyone because they're used as a knight. So that's why you have a transcendence tab in there. And by using them as a knight hero, you actually free up a lot more lodge space. So right now I have 60 out of 100, and Pram is a knight. So if I remove her, she's going to come back into my waiting list, which increases it back to 61. So it does give us a bit more room, but it doesn't. It kind of does and doesn't at the same time, because we're going to need these heroes anyway. Uh, so I guess you could treat it as increase in lodge space, but it really isn't, because you do need to, in fact, use these specific heroes if you want to maximize the effects of the knight system. So that's pretty much it for the knight system. At this point, if you don't have a lot of spares or duplicates, I would definitely go and just hire some random 6 stars and just put them in, because the 6 stars give you a 3% boost per hero. So even if you only have 6 stars, if you add them into each slot, that's like a 3% boost every stat, like 12% boost, and you could be lucky and register them as a relationship hero, and you get an even bigger boost. Here, it doesn't matter what rank the hero is. I could have a rank 6 Lucida and it would still give me the HP plus 5%. Which is amazing, because, let's just say I have terrible luck trying to pull Lucida from Legendary higher, and I can't get her to even A, so I can just get the 5% boost and wait until I can get Lucida. Now, because the higher rates for Season 5 and beyond heroes are so poor, I would suggest, if you do have any copies of S5 heroes or higher, you should just save them instead of fusing 2 Lucidas into 1 to get a higher stat boost, because you're probably going to be hiring a lot of fodder or garbage heroes that you won't need anyway, and you can try to use that to transcend. But if you're someone that hires like a lot of heroes, you have a lot of essence, either you farm a lot of tower or you get your essence from, I don't know, like soul gems or whatever, then just go for whatever. It doesn't really matter in that case. And last thing I want to note is that the mythic heroes do not provide a higher boost than your legendary heroes. You can see that both Dimitra and Cedar are rank A, and Dimitra is myth status, but they both have a 7.5% boost. So just a little note there. So essentially that is it for the knight system. It's kind of complicated, but once you just look at the heroes you need for the relationship effect, it's not too difficult. It just takes time to actually draw these heroes out. I know personally I've been throwing away a lot of the heroes that have been used in the relationship effect, especially the S1s or S2s that no one uses, like Felix or like, I don't know, Tiff. Like nobody uses these heroes, or Morgan Le Fay, like Sargantanis. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Whatever. Yeah. So a lot of these heroes, like, we don't generally consider them useful. Have suddenly become useful again, in a way. So that's kind of interesting. Now, that's pretty much it for the Knight system. I don't think there's anything else to talk about on that note, unless I'm missing something. But if that is it, I'm going to go on to talk about the other part of the update, which is the increase to the legendary extraction. Now, Legion claims that they've increased the legendary extraction rate by 50%. So when you extract your heroes, you get 50% more essence. So I don't know if that's true yet. I do have a list of extractions from since we had like season tickets until rank 6 tickets, and I don't believe the extraction rate has changed at that point. So I'm probably going to calculate an average uh, among the S3, like the season tickets, all the way up to the end of season tickets, and then calculate another average from when we were introduced the rank 6 gold and silver tickets, and then I'm going to compare to see whether or not um, the extraction rate has actually increased by 50%, like Legion has claimed. So that's just something I want to add. I'll probably put the results of that in the description because I can't really do that now. I have to run a little program, but that's pretty much it. And lastly, I want to talk about the new heroes that were released. Just a quick overview. We have a mythic hero, obviously, and a normal hero, obviously. And I want to go into the normal hero first. So the normal hero is a tome user. She increases her own attack and applies a magic dot and lowers defense. Now, she's actually kind of weird in the sense that she's kind of suited for PvE but also suited for PvP, but she doesn't do either one of them that well, which is strange. So her attack gets increased by 50% at level 50. I'm unsure of whether or not this goes beyond 50% at level 100. So if you have her, do let me know. But at level 50, it's a 50% increase in attack, which is definitely not bad. I mean, she's comparable to Kokomo and Cromwell. So, and she's a magic dealer, so it does mean that she's going to be a little bit better in PvP because, magic damage is much more OP in PvP. And she does have a magic dot. So, in a sense, she's probably like a better version of Cromwell if you're looking for PvP. But the weird thing is, her her myth skill is actually suited for PvE, which is strange. It's monster expert, which increases damage done to bosses. Now, I don't usually recommend using tome heroes for PvE simply because they don't have enough tanking ability. In PvP, it's fine because the armor gets buffed really heavily in the beginning. So that's why the magic heroes shine because magic pierces through defense. But in PvE, you don't have that kind of effect, and so the bosses will hit you very hard. And so I would expect her mythic skill to be something like increased damage in PvP or something, or like one of the PvP mythic skills, or even like increased attack. But this kind of doesn't do much for her because she's like almost like a jack of all trades, except she doesn't do any of them well at this point. Now her costume does increase her critical damage by I think like 30%. I'm not 100% sure on that number. I don't exactly remember, but again, it still doesn't. She is still like ambiguous on whether or not she's suited for PvP or PvE. Um, I would, if you get her, I would keep her and use her for PvP because you could replace, some certain heroes like I don't know, uh, maybe Dimitra, maybe yeah, maybe Dimitra. I think that would be the only hero I would remove because Alina is still fairly useful in PvP, and I don't know what other magic heroes you would get rid of in that case. But for PvE, I don't think she'll last that well, especially because her, like, look at the stats for strength and vitality. It's like so low. What is this? Like the ranged users have higher defense. It's honestly because of the defense that the magic heroes are so weak. So I suppose you could just keep stacking defense, but you're kind of just avoiding the fact that her strength stat is just so low. But that's pretty much a problem with all the magic heroes. Now, onto the mythic hero, we have God of Wind, Garura. I don't know if I pronounced that right. But her mythic skill is increased attack for spear wielding heroes, and her let's get rid of that. Her skill is specifically suited for PvE. You can tell right now just by looking at her effect. Deals damage to enemies in a column, increases attack, and increases damage dealt to bosses for 2 turns. So, Garura, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. She is a PvE mythic hero. You can tell because her increased damage to bosses is 50%, which is a lot higher than any of the other heroes without a costume. I mentioned that Indra has a 75% increased damage to bosses, but that's with the costume. And boosts attack by 50% at level 50. Now, I'm fairly certain it increases past the 75% at level 100 simply because we've been seeing that a lot in the other mythic heroes, but it could be possible that she doesn't. In that case, not that great. But if it does increase to 75%, that's fantastic. And her costume is actually really interesting. It changes her entire skill into something like Kamal's skill. She hits in a column and a row, and she has the ability to stun. So for PvE, not that useful. For PvP, yeah, I could see it being useful. But it's a chance stun again. But it is a row and column stun, so do keep in mind of that. If they have their formation, messed up or something, you could potentially, stun entire row and column. And she gets an increased damage. I think she also gets critical damage buff in her costume. I'm not too sure about that. But she does remind me of a lot of Kamal when she gets her costume. But as of now, I would say she's a decent PvE hero. I think some of the other heroes with the costume are still better at this point. For example, like DQK with the costume is still probably better. But yeah, she does look really awesome. I like the scythe. Reminds me of a scythe in Vindictus, but I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, that scythe is actually really, really good looking. I think I would like a lot of the later heroes. The design is actually a lot better in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the night system update. I will talk about the new event, which is the Mythic Box event, but that should be in a video of its own because that's gonna take a while to explain and talk about. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Peace.